Okay, we're back on track now. Let's not mess this up again. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with episode 25 of Big City Greens. And last episode was pretty good, both the intended one and the unintended reaction to season 4, episode 24. But we're finally back to the normal situation. Because, like, I still don't entirely know how I did that, but I've done stuff like that in the past. It's not the first time. It probably won't be the last. So, we got another good episode here, hopefully, and I'm just ready to get into it. I woke up a little late today, so admittedly, I just want to kind of get to the reaction and check it out. Um, let's see what this is. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what these segments are going to be about. So let's get into it and hope for the best. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This was okay. I had no issue with either of these segments, but none of them really hit like super hard. The first segment, the Valentine's dance one, it's like your city just has a citywide Valentine's dance. Mind you, it looked like it was barely occupied, but still. It's just like, why? When has that ever been a thing? I don't know. Maybe I just don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But they went there, and it's basically the equivalent of a school dance, except it's, not just a school. And it's But while there, Cricket, like, decides that that he and the boys should, like, avoid dancing with girls because it's like it's the path to love, and love is gross or some shit. But then he ends up developing a little crush on this girl named Gabriella, voiced by Jenna Ortega, and he basically spends the entire time trying to avoid her. Meanwhile, Tilly is trying to get people to fall in love, ends up hitting herself with the rubber suction cup arrow, and pretends to fall in love with a football tackling dummy, I think. I think that's what that was supposed to be. And it's like, okay, sure, why not? It just was like kind of random. It felt like weirdly just random. And I know, like, a few episodes back and all, there were, like, other holiday episodes and everything. And I get that, like, this probably came out during that time of year, but it's like, I don't know, you're gonna do, like, a Valentine's episode, and this is what you do? It's just like, okay, I mean, I guess, like, you're not gonna, like, have, like, Cricket or Tilly or whatnot fall in love for real, but I almost kind of wish this was more focused on the Gloria part, because the part of, like, Gloria is here at the dance meeting this Kevin guy, and the next thing we really see of that is, like, he doesn't end up showing. she's left really depressed, and dunks her head in the punch bowl out of like shame and sadness, which really makes me feel depressed because Jesus fuck, I have been there. Um, but on top of that, it's like at the end, her and Cricket both dance because, Cricket ends up missing out on dancing with Gabriella because of his dumbness. And she just doesn't have anyone to dance to. So it's like, oh, they dance as friends, basically. There's a few notes about that part of the segment. First off, Gloria Gloria's dress there is very simplistic and basic and does not feel like something Gloria would want to wear. Gloria has almost like these dreams of grandeur. She wants to like she wants to be fancy. She wants to go to Paris and everything. She wants to have higher end stuff, but having her in a very simplistic pink dress like this, like super simple, is actually a really good visual choice because it actually goes along with what we know of her character. Gloria's poor. She's she's not super well off at all. And although she has, these dreams of grandeur, she can't afford to, follow up on that. So her only dress, or probably only dress, being like super simplistic and cheap looking, is actually perfectly within her character and reflects like what we know of her really well. So I actually really really like that detail because there's a lot that you can like take from that based on the information we've been given in the past. But on top of that, her being stood up, like maybe it's partially because she's my favorite character in this, but geez, that fucked me up. That made me really really sad. And mind you, I was still focused on the other stuff happening as well because the Gloria plotline had very little to it, but like that really made me sad because I've been there. I've been stood up. I I I have asked I think like only a couple people out in my entire life, and being rejected and stood up is basically how like all but one of them has now actually all of the ones that I have asked out has ended up that way. The only dates I've ever been on are not when are when the other person asked me, to be fair. Um but anytime I ever asked someone, I got like again either rejected or stood up, and it's a really terrible feeling. Rejection in general in any situation never feels good. But like when it comes to like having a crush on someone or something like that, it really doesn't feel good. Especially for someone like me who has a hard time putting myself out there. Like even when I was a kid and everything, it's like I was still pretty shy at that time in my life. I was pretty shy and pretty like timid, and I had a very hard time putting myself out there when it came to stuff like this. And so when I did work up the nerve to be able to ask, and I got rejected or, you know, stood up, it really fucked me up to the point where it actually made me retreat even further into my shell and become even more timid and nervous around people. It's it really fucked up my social life big time, and basically made me have no social life. It really just screwed everything up, and just it wasn't a fun experience because of that. And so it's like when it's like when it talks about like Gloria having a date for this and all, and it's like I'm like okay, cool, that's nice. But then it shows her getting stood up, and it's just like instantly like that flooded back into my mind, and it's just like I just like very much like felt really really bad for her. Because she's gone through so much since moving to big city as it is. Like, we've already heard plenty about, like, her struggles and pains since moving here. And now she's, like, clearly looking forward to this greatly. She's clearly super excited. And then she gets stood up. It's like, that's rough. That's really rough. And she's like, what, in her early to mid 20s? So she's pretty young, and she's pretty, like, emotional still at that point. I mean, mind you, anyone can be emotional, but we know Gloria is very emotional. And so it's like, it probably hit her harder than it would hit some people who are, like, in their 30s or 40s or whatnot. Of course, it depends on the person, but still. It's like that's probably something she's really, really trying to, like, figure out still. And so I really feel bad for her. But at least she got to dance with someone in the end. At least she got to dance with Cricket. I mean, as a friend, but it'll still help. There's also the little plot point of, like, of Grandma Alice and the mom getting to connect on a little smaller level. And it's like, okay, neat. It probably won't stick, so it's like I'm not, like, thinking too much into it at the moment, but neat nonetheless. And then we have the second segment, which is, like, Green Streets or whatever it's called. Cricket gets upset at someone for littering, decides to take it way too seriously, and unfortunately gets the cop to take it way too seriously as well. At first, they're just going around and just goofing around and asking people. The cop's not taking it too seriously, but Cricket gets him to take it way too seriously, and it devolves really quickly. The officer ends up becoming kind of a tyrant, you could say. And when Cricket ends up finding out that he's been the one littering the entire time, the officer has to go after him, and there's this entire huge extended, like, chase scene and everything, and it's just like, you made a monster out of him, Cricket. Like, he was fairly reasonable for a cop, which is saying a lot, but you turned him into, like, an actual cop here, which is, bad for everyone. And it's just, at the end, there's this kind of, like, point where Cricket's like, yeah, I actually believe now that we should give people second chances and stuff. It's like, bitch, you didn't learn a lesson here. You're just scared. You're just scared of doing 20 years to life in prison. You didn't actually learn shit. Don't act like this episode has a lesson. The only lesson that this episode has is that, yeah, you don't want a competent cop because they're bad news. That's the only lesson this episode has to it. They do some fun little stuff with Tilly in the segment, though. It's whatever. Like I said, it's like neither of these segments, like, really grab me. They feel like they just exist. They're not bad by any means. They're just not that good either. Though I will admit there are, like, maybe a couple jokes in them that I really like. Like, I like the joke they did in the first segment where it's like, oh, we'll just be guys hanging out, like those two, and it points to the very obviously gay couple. And it's just like, oh, no, Cricket, no, they are together. And it's just like, okay, that's how you do a gay joke. That's funny. That's funny, but it doesn't come at the expense of the gay people. It's respectful. It's a respectful gay joke. That we can live with. Because it's not making fun of them or anything. It's just a misunderstanding of what's going on. Um but I dig that. That's the kind of gay joke that I can be okay with because it's not mocking, it's not, homophobic. It's just, a goofy misunderstanding. So yeah, it's a fairly fine set of episodes or set of segments. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Big City Greens? And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.